Hey everybody, it's the Miss Peg, and I wanted to let you know that today we are going to be working in our work packet, starting with section 7.2 in our book, The Big Ideas Math, here in Alachua County, Florida. And so if you're following along in that book with us, kudos. It's page 365 is where we're going to start. Actually, page 366. We'll be talking about multiplying binomials. Okay, so if you did not check out and make a poster for yourself, this is just kind of art and math at home. So you can go ahead and make that. It's what I did. I posted a link in our Google Classroom how to make them. It's for extra credit. It's fun, something to do. F-O-I-L, cut them out of foil, paste them down onto a paper, fill in the rest of the words first, outer, inner, last, and that's one of the little strategies we'll be using when you need help, and also to help you remember how an easy, quick way to multiply binomials. So I'm going to get started here in just a minute. We'll be working together in the work packet. Okay, so let's get started. We are in this section 7.2, as I mentioned. So the first page that you have in your work packet, or if you're following along in the book, is page 365. So that page, skip it. We're not doing that page, okay? Continue on to page 366, where it says lesson 7.2, what you will learn, okay? So I have two objectives today. So the first one is that we're going to do this example down here, multiplying binomials using a table. And then the second thing we're going to learn is using the FOIL method. So example 3, multiplying binomials using the FOIL method. So the first part of this video will be using a table. Now for mostly all of you who I've taught before, this is fairly familiar to you, so we are coming into a bit of a review, okay? So I want to start here at example number 2, multiplying binomials. First, let me explain to you what a binomial is. So as a reminder, in example 2 here, let me kind of increase this screen. It's me. Okay, so increase the screen a little bit. So it says find, and here we go. In the first set of parentheses is 2x minus 3, so that's a binomial. Inside the parentheses there are two terms, the term 2x and the term minus 3, also known as negative 3. And then the second binomial is being multiplied to it. So it's the second binomial is x plus 5. So they have those grouped into a parentheses for the first two, the binomial, and the parentheses for the second two, the binomial. So that's what it means multiplying binomials. I just have two different binomials that I'm going to multiply together using different methods. All right, so this table method is the first one that I want to show you. I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen now. And the table method is neat if you like to see things graphically laid out for you, or you have problems organizing your work on a page. All right, sometimes neatness, well, not sometimes, all the time, neatness matters in math. So if you have problems writing this stuff out on a page, you would want to use the table method. So my first binomial that was given to me is 2x minus 3. And if you notice, they created a table over here. So they put 2x minus 3 on the top. So you should go ahead on your paper and just mimic that, 2x and minus 3. The way I like to do it after I write that down is I put a line under it, and then I put a line through it. Okay, that's how I write mine. Now you can go ahead and put a line in front of it and stop there. So over here, that takes care of, I put a check mark to denote that I finished my first binomial recording it. So the second binomial is x plus 5. So that's going to go, if you notice how they put it here, up and down in our table. So that's kind of like our, coming up and down like a y-axis almost. So we're going to put this x, and then we're going to put this 5. So the reason why it's just a regular 5, I didn't have a plus or a minus in front of it, is I see here it's positive 5, and normally when something is positive, we don't put plus in front of it. but if something is a minus, we'll put a negative sign in front of it, okay? And so from there, I can just draw a line between them, and that's kind of all you really need, but you can finish off this line if that makes you feel happy. All right, so that's how I set up my table. So up and down in this column has a binomial, and then across the row has a binomial. There's nothing over here in this area, all right? So here's how this works. All I have to do, let me see if I can change color. All I have to do is match this term and this term. So I'm going to multiply those. So what is 2x times x? So if you said 2x squared, you're right, because you probably know that already, or you saw it right here. But that's how they got the 2x squared, okay? So now for this next column or next box, I'm also going to say this x times this negative 3. Well, if I multiply those together, I just get negative 3x. All right? So now I can move down, and I want to pair up this 2x with this 5. Why don't I change the color on that one also? So that 2x comes down, and this 5. You could write those in there. You could write 2x times 5 and then put your answer. So 2x times 5, that's 2 times 5 is 10. Keep the x there. I don't prefer to write that. I kind of, at this stage in math, in algebra, you should be able to just kind of do those in your head. So this is how I do it. I'll say, well, that has a negative 3. This has a positive 5. So what is negative 3 times positive 5 is negative 15. So I write minus or negative 15. All right? So that's how you complete the table. But wait, there's more. We're not done yet. Okay, let me go back to my black pencil or pen. So here, now I just have to write my answer in a cohesive format. So I need to go now and combine those boxes. So remember, we want to write all of our answers when we're working with polynomials in standard form. And standard form means that we're going to write from the highest exponent down to the lowest exponent, and then down to just our constants or numbers with no exponents, okay? So here I have a 2x squared, or 2x to the second power, and there's no other term in these boxes that have an x to the second power, so that term is complete and recorded properly. And so I'm going to do the last term really fast for you. So here, if you notice this minus 15, this is my constant on the end, is going to just be recorded just like the 2x squared was recorded, because there's no one for him to combine like terms with. But a key feature of using or multiplying binomials is that there's most often terms in the center that you will have to combine. That's why we always do distributive property, combine like terms. Always goes together most often, okay? So you'll notice that when you use the table format, if you like this format, there's going to be these terms in the center that you have to go ahead and combine. So kind of doesn't matter which direction, if you do minus 3x plus 10x, or if you say 10x minus 3x. In this particular case, you're going to get the right answer anyway. So 10x minus 3x is going to be 7x. So I basically took this 10x, put this minus 3x next to it, and that looks like a math problem. So if 10 minus 3 is 7x. So the only thing I really have to think, is that a positive or a negative? Well, 10 minus 3 is 7. It's positive 7. So you just put a plus in front of it. So there I can go ahead and get my final answer. The other thing that is a key feature of multiplying binomials is quite often, not 100% of the time, we'll see some samples later or in the future, when you multiply a binomial times a binomial, which is what we did, that first set times the second set, very often you're going to get a trinomial answer. That's 1, 2, 3 terms. So we have a trinomial answer here, okay? So that's how we go ahead and we make a table. We're going to do an example with that, making a table. Okay, but first I want you to go to the very next page, This looks like page 367. And let's take a look at the second method that I want to show you today, which is the FOIL method, okay? So let me pull this up a little bit here and grab my pen or pencil. Okay, so the FOIL method is what most people do, mainly because it's pretty quick and easy. We're going to do the first, outer, inner, and last terms in our binomials, okay? And so this is how this looks. I want to scroll down to the first question here. It says find each product. So the reason it says product is because we're multiplying, and product is the answer when you are multiplying, okay? Just like quotient is the answer when you are dividing. Quick little background. Sometimes it's like the biggest. There we go. Okay, so it says here, I'm looking at A. So it says x minus 3. That's my first binomial. And immediately next to it is x minus 6. So I'm going to choose a smaller pen tip. All right. So this is my first binomial. This is my second binomial. So what FOIL shows us is that we're going to take our first term. Remember, that's our first term. And this is our second, but it's inside, so we'll see that. So we take our first term in each binomial. Let me make this less confusing. That is so funny. All right. There we go. So the first term is x, and the first term over here is x. So that denotes our first terms. X times x is x squared. So if you're not good at multiplying variables with exponents, go back and check out that lesson, okay? So that was my first one, did it? Now we have to take a look at our outer terms. Well, what that means is look at the whole group of the two binomials together. What terms are on the outsides? All right. So here, let me use a different color. This x is on the outside, and this -6 is on the outside. Notice I said -6 instead of -6. They're kind of interchangeable. All right. So what is x times -6? And that answer would be -6x. So the way I write -6x is I write -6x. All right. So that took care of that term right there. I do not have a green, so I'm going to use this yellow. All right. So the inner terms are literally the opposite of the outer terms. These are the ones that are inside. So if you notice, the two terms snuggled inside all these parentheses are -3 and x. So -3 and x, you multiply those, gives you -3x. So I write minus or -3x. All right. And then my last group, there we go, are my last terms. So the last terms are the opposite of the first terms. So the first ones were the first in each group, or in each binomial, and now we're looking at the last in each binomial. So the last one in the first binomial is -3, and the last one in the second binomial is -6. So that's a -3 times a -6. Remember, a negative times a negative is always going to give you a positive product or answer. So that would be +18. All right. So I basically am still getting the job done, whether I did it through a table or whether I did a method called double distributed property or horizontal method. But here, there's a common theme. Remember, we're always going to, well, not always, but most often, going to have to combine some like terms in order to get our final answer. Because remember in the example when we did the table, most oftentimes a binomial times a binomial is going to give you a trinomial answer. And right now I have a polynomial. I have 4 terms here. So here, x squared can combine with nobody. 18 can combine with nobody. But this -6x minus 3x, those are like terms because they both have just that variable x on there. They are the same. So that would mean -6 minus 3. And so those are subtraction with integers, everybody's favorite. What I like to say is minus stays minus. So if it's a -6 and a -3, just put them together and keep it as a -9. all right, and bring the x along for the ride there. So we have x squared minus 9x plus 18 as a final answer. So that's how you do the FOIL method. The first terms get multiplied, the outer terms get multiplied, the inner terms get multiplied, and then the last terms get multiplied, okay? So first of all, feel free to comment below or send me a message. Do you like the table method better, or do you like the FOIL method better? All right, I'm going to stop the video here, and what I am going to do is go ahead and post a part 2 follow-up where we will do the assigned questions that are assigned for you. We'll do them together. So if you feel like you have enough information that you can go ahead and do the assignment on your own, it'll be numbers, I can tell you right now. Let me just scroll through here for you. So you can find those in the Google Classroom, or you can go ahead and just write them down right now. So you're going to do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 using the table method up here. And then down here, you're going to do, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7, and 8 using the FOIL method. So that's 8 questions for you to do. Again, in the part 2, I will be posting in a few minutes after I finish doing the work with you. Feel free to, after this lesson, go ahead to part 2 and just do the work along with me. And if you don't need to, no problem. Just go ahead, do the work, snap a little picture of it, email it to me, let me know you did it. Email me, let me know if you're having problems sending it to me, however I can help out. All right. So yeah, that's it for the lesson. Chime in for part 2 coming up. Should be loaded in about an hour.